Revenge films.
One day, during work, I was caught in an accident and injured my leg, and I became what you would call a disabled person. Thanks to surgery, my life was saved, and I'm able to move. However, because my work was in construction, I wasn't able to go back to my job. My wife was a full-time housewife, and we had a daughter in 8th grade. My daughter was always really mindful of my body and what I couldn't physically do, so she did her best to support me. Because I was no longer able to work, of course I would be at home. But then one day, my wife said,
"Seeing you at home and watching you unable to move freely is really irritating. Sorry, but I want to live separately for a little bit."
I didn't know what to say. The accident wasn't my fault, but to hear my wife say that to me, I was overwhelmed with shock. But maybe it was inevitable that she would get annoyed with me being at home and in her way, and that because I wasn't working, she might feel this way. And to be fair, watching me drag my leg around the house from her point of view might make her feel that way. I left my wife and my daughter there, and I decided to go back to my parents' place for a little while. Not too long after I started living back at home, I got a call from my wife saying,
"We don't have any money and can't survive."
Because it was an industrial accident, we would be covered by insurance and the settlement from the accident, and I didn't think it would be that bad. But I was told that it was going to take some time for the money to come into my account due to all of the necessary paperwork, and I had accepted this. I felt the responsibility that I wasn't proactive enough, so I couldn't say anything back to my wife. Even if I did, I told her that because I was now disabled, that our lives were going to be a little more difficult. I didn't think there was anything left I could say. I feel like I had no choice but to give her my credit card and tell her, "You can use this to pay what we don't have enough for." After coming to get the credit card, my wife never came back to see me. My daughter was messaging me consistently, but I was honestly depressed by my wife's attitude. One day, I went back to my house to get a change of clothes, but my wife wasn't home. I grabbed my clothes from my drawers and was about to leave the house when I found my wife's cell phone on top of the living room table. Did she forget it? I thought she was out running errands, so without thinking, I just picked up the cell phone, and there was a text message conversation displayed on the screen. There, I saw something outrageous. Much to my shock, they were messages between my wife and a man whose name I didn't recognize.
"I want to be with you, but if I leave him now, then people would think I'm an evil woman that left my disabled husband. So let's make it so that I'm a wife that's so exhausted from nursing her husband that I collapse. Then it should be easy to get a divorce."
That was written from her side. With the cell phone in my hand, I was stunned. What? She's cheating on me? Since when? Divorce? These thoughts were circling around my head. It made me wonder if the reason why she sent me to my parents' house was so that it would be easier for her to have her affair. I felt the blood starting to boil in front of me, and at the same time, I felt so pathetic for believing my wife and blaming myself all this time. I had a flashback to giving my wife my credit card, so I quickly went to check the statements, and I realized that after telling me she didn't have enough money to survive, she was actually using it for her affair. When I looked at the details, there were pretty expensive male brand name clothes, as well as restaurant payments all over. Not only that, but she hadn't been paying the mortgage on the house, and it seemed like she was using all of the insurance money and settlements that we received from my accident to spoil her boyfriend. I couldn't believe it, and I wanted to confront my wife. But I knew that I needed to gather more evidence, and so I saved their conversation onto my cell phone. And that day, I went home as though nothing happened. Then, starting the next day, I got to work. First, I went to a detective agency to investigate my wife and her boyfriend. I had them find out everything from his office to his home address. Then, when I was finally about to confront the two of them, I got a sudden phone call from my daughter.
"Dad, Mom has collapsed. I need to call an ambulance. She said, so I told my daughter."
I'll explain the situation later, but please, just don't say anything and leave your mom as is.
"What?"
Don't worry. Your mom should be perfectly fine in reality. When I said that, my daughter was clearly flustered, but she trusted me.
Okay, I will.
I'm going to go over there now. So can you wait at a nearby convenience store? There's something important I need to discuss with your mom.
Yeah, but are you sure she's really okay?
Don't worry. Your mom is just acting. My daughter was shocked when I said that, but she listened and did as I asked. Then, I gathered all of the evidence gathered from the detective agency, and I hopped into a taxi to my home. My wife was still laying there, so I said, "You can cut it out with the bad acting. Get up." When she heard that, I saw my wife's body twitch. Even then, she wouldn't get up. So I started to shower her with all of the evidence of her affair. Perhaps one piece caught her eye, because she jumped right up.
What is this?
What do you mean, what? It's evidence of your affair. She looked stunned as I replied to her. The other day, when I came home to get a change of clothes, your cell phone was sitting on top of the table, and your messages were already open for me to see. You were devising a plan with your boyfriend so that you could break up with me, weren't you? I'll be happy to, but of course, with the settlement fee included. Perhaps the words settlement fee shocked her, and suddenly, my wife tried to cling on to me.
Wait, this is all a misunderstanding.
With all this evidence, what's there to misunderstand? You even brought him into our home. I'm sorry to say, but I've sent similar paperwork to your boyfriend's house and his office. Oh, and to your parents too.
You're lying!
If you think I'm lying, then why don't you call them yourself and find out?
It was just a little impulsive action. You're the one that I truly love.
After you kicked me out of the house the moment I became disabled? What are you saying? Not only that, but you spent all of the insurance money and the accident settlement money on your boyfriend.
I was just letting him borrow it.
What an excuse. Anyway, we're going to become strangers now, so you can get out of this house. I'll send the divorce papers to your parents' house, so you can submit them once you sign.
I'm so sorry. I swear I'll never do it again. So please, forgive me. Please!
My wife got down on her knees to beg, but I just looked at her coldly and walked out of the house. After that, my wife had nowhere to go, and apparently she went back to her parents' place, but her sister and her husband were already living there. Plus, they all found out that after I became disabled, she kicked me out and was having an affair. And not only that, but scheming to try to get a divorce from me. So they called her a cheating piece of crap and kicked her out. I always got along well with my in-laws, including my sister-in-law and her husband, and luckily, they adored me. That's why, when I had the accident, they were almost more worried than my own wife. I'm pretty sure they came to visit me in the hospital more than she did. When she received the divorce papers, my wife must have realized that she wouldn't be able to survive after all these years as a full-time housewife, and she really tried to get out of it. However, her parents forced her to sign them, telling her that as a cheating piece of crap, what right did she have to reject them? And in the end, the divorce went through. After that, I used a lawyer to collect not only the settlement fee for the affair, but also all of the insurance money and the settlement money from the accident that she had used up. My wife had already lost a place to live, so now she's living in a rundown apartment and working multiple part-time jobs, stocking shelves, cleaning, and working the register in order to pay back that money. As for the boyfriend, his wife went crazy when she found out he was cheating on her, and of course, he was fired from his company. As for the settlement fee, apparently his parents were very wary of the public eye and paid it immediately in one payment. But just like my ex-wife, he was also stuck running around from part-time job to part-time job. Especially his wife was what you might call a princess. She came from a very wealthy family, and apparently that settlement fee was no joke. But that's none of my business. On the other hand, my old boss introduced me to a new workplace that was a subsidiary of our company, and it was a job that I could do from home, so I was able to get back to work. During the divorce, custody of our daughter became a big issue, but my daughter saw right through her mom for doing nothing for me when I was disabled, and on top of that, having an affair, so she chose to live with me. After denying me when I became disabled, she was denied by her own daughter. And I thought that was quite the karma. From now on, not only for myself, but also for my daughter who supported me through all of this no matter what, I'm going to keep doing my best.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.